guys, Mark here, Celtic Crossbows. We're going to do this one today. It's going to be on long range bolts for your pistol crossbow. This has come about, another channel, rather famous guy, has done a video saying that pistol crossbows aren't accurate up to 30 meters or over 30 meters. About 3.5 years ago, I started making my own bolts. I've discovered how inherently unstable they were. So what I done was then I started to develop them further. I started coming up then with 8-inch bolts, which I discovered because of the extra length and stability, because of the weight in the front, I had much better accuracy at long range. I then came up with the long range broadheads. And to give you an idea of the difference in size, here's a magazine bolt today. First difference in size in comparison. Okay, about 2 inches or so shorter. Further developing my design, I came up then eventually about 2 years ago with a Hornet bolt. These about 210 grains, 150 grain tungsten tip, full carbon shaft, and it was excellent at long range. The problem I discovered was then, because magazine crossbows was such a massive hit, that I had to develop a short range tactical bolt, which is where I come up with these, my Vadja bolts, 300 grain, fully steel shafted. And I've been selling well. In fact, it's so well I've had to go back in production this week to produce more of them. Also brought me nicely onto another subject with the long range stuff, and it was thanks to Steamboat and me taking delivery now of my new Steamboat Stinger. The one thing I noticed was with the new tactical or survival, it could only do one thing: shoot bolts. And for me, I'm a bit of a survival nut. I've been to Bear Grylls Academy, I met Scotty, I met Bear, and all the other guys down there on survival courses. And everything which was drummed into me, if you're carrying something, it has to have more than one use. The survival crossbow to me, although it's an excellent piece of kit, I love it. I ordered another one. It is lacking functionality. It is basically a crossbow. It does what it says on the tin, and that's it. But a survival tool has to be so much more. So we're going to look at now at some of the options that I believe should be included or extras optional, and this goes out to other manufacturers as well, not just Steamboat, to give you a chance to show off to the survival community, the bug out, the crossbow community, what you can do. This is your starting point, the Steamboat Stinger Survival. I'm going to put in my 10 pence worth where I think should be in a survival crossbow. It should be ready to go when the shit hits the fan. You could have broken an arm in a car or something like that. How are you going to pull it with no string? So this is why I'm leaving the cocking levers on, because if you've got a broken arm, you're out in the wilds, you still need to cock the bow. So just by pressing the catch and levering down with your good arm, you've still got a weapon. And a self-defense piece and attacking piece. So here we go guys, I hope you enjoy this. Okay, so assuming it's an average survival situation, you're out in the car in the middle of the Everglades, something like this, your engine's packed up, you can't get no mobile phone signal, you've got your bug out crossbow with you, what should you have with it? Of course you've got your basic chassis with things like that, but there isn't always a hunting opportunity available. Perhaps you've been in a crash, perhaps you broke your leg, perhaps you damaged your arm. And trying to cock a 90-pound limb with one arm is pretty tricky. So I think having the cocking limbs on here as well as is a damn good idea. But if you've damaged your hand or something like that, you've got to try and hold the bow to tighten it. So I think again, having the nut tightener built into the sight rail is excellent. But the one thing I would love to see would be a dedicated fishing kit, which would just clip onto the front rail like so. So you now got the ability to catch food as well. Now here I have a little plug for me, my fishing boats. Here's a hole we can get on camera, through the back there, through the centre of the flight, which when it goes on the rail, you run your fishing line down the front, you attach it to your boat as you actually go fishing with your survival crossbow. Only costs a few quid. Standard quick release Picatinny rail, this is about £10. Your saddle is about £10. Your fishing reel is about £15 from China, and your standard steamboat grip, which again, all this would give you an excellent opportunity of another food source. If you can't shoot a pigeon, rabbit, rat, groundhog, whatever, small game, at least it gives you a second option at going at fish. Okay, so the next thing I looked at was the stock, and why the stock was a dead space and what needed to be improved with it. And that's when I looked at my other tactical crossbow, because I had the standard steamboat stock, and you've got all this dead space here in the lever that has got the butt in and out, etc. But what could it be used for? What could it be improved? Because you've got all this dead space underneath. The stock tube, again, this is a metal stock tube. Could be used as an emergency cooking device, metal cap in the bottom. It could be used for storage, for first aid, a fishing kit. Under here, you could be a resource for MRE, stored in a stock, a fatter, chunkier stock. Could seriously be an option. It's something you've been investigated, even if not by Steamboat, if by a third-party company having to watch this. It's a serious trick being missed out. It turns into a full survival package. One of the other things I thought about, I'm just adding this thing so I only just thought about it. Looking at it, you've got a mil-spec buffer tube. She comes about the year. Why not, instead of having a slide out stock, have a longer buffer tube? Fit the handle here, you could use an entrenching tool, shovel, which could just screw off. You've got the handle here, so it would just fold out, lock into the threads on the front. You've got an entrenching tool as well, built into your steamboat. This is another thing which could be explored. It could just be quite simply a slot-in design with a push-button clip, so it wouldn't interfere with your shooting. And if something was needed, just undo your castle nut, go by breaking off the stock, pop your button, pull out your blade, screw in your entrenching tool, and you've got an entrenching tool straight away built into your steamboat for another survival situation. There's so many options which could be done with this. I think the steamboat is on the right track, and it's an excellent concept. I think it just needs to be developed further to make it into a real survival piece of kit. It could be used for pilots, etc., military pilots. If it was on the back of the ejector seat or something like this, or on a backpack, military, in tanks and things. If you're in a situation, you're a soldier on your own, and you've got 20 Iraqis coming screaming at you, and you're on your own, and you just need to take a one or two silently, efficiently, without alerting the rest of the squad as they need to get away. What a perfect piece of kit to have. Folds down to the size of a backpack and allows for an evasive escape maneuver. On to the next bit. Okay, so the next thing I looked at was then the bolt-on bits, like the rubber grips, etc. Now this has got to be in place to hold the cocking limbs, that's understandable. But things like the grips, rubber is an excellent source of fire start in an emergency situation. It's in your hand. It's going to be probably dry anyway. But you haven't got a screwdriver with you or a screwdriver in the kit to take the grips off. So what if the grips was just tacked on or glued on, or grips to hold it in place? So if need be, because you can still use it without the grips, perfectly fine, perfectly comfortable, you can just rip the grips off and use it sliced with your K1 Stinger Survival knife, and use the grips for strips for starting a fire. You know, that would be a good option. I think you have the holes there in the grip already, so you just want a polymer grip or a rubber grip which goes on and pushes into the holes to lock it in place. This isn't an everyday crossbow, it'll be a survival crossbow. It'll sit in your bag for days, weeks, months, years, maybe never used. But the whole point of a shittest a fan kit or a bugout kit, it's there if needed. So right, so we've covered. I'd like to see a fully featured fishing kit. I do bolts different sizes. These are my standard bolts, roughly 10 inches long. Fits into the string, precedes the front end of the crossbow, your tip protruding, with its barb. The barb on the front as well, which allows for catching a fish. It's a multi-use bolt. It can still be used for normal hunting. It doesn't have to be just for fishing. So it does away with multi choices of ammunition in your bag. The short bolts, we know they're inherently unstable over 30 meters. So, you know, it would do away having to carry two different types of ammunition. You could include that in the kit. Carbon bolts, heavyweight, far superior. Again, can be steel or lead lined for better performance underwater. So, with the fishing kit covered, the type of bolts it could be supplied with covered, the type of grips covered, and the type of stock as well covered. It could be the cheek piece could be made of rubber, and you just peel it off and use that as a fire lighter. You could have ferrous rod into the back, fire steel, and flint striker. Parts of the kit which are redundant and can be made into a far better thing. So now we're going to look at the stock type and selection. Although I do love the folded stock capabilities on the Stinger, etc., as a tactical crossbow, it works beautifully. It's absolutely bang on, and the new catch is much better than the old one. What would be better on the survival one, I believe, instead of having the telescopic butt, because all this now is just dead space. The only storage you've got is the two. And this is where I think something on survival like this makes much more sense. It's the standard OP360 stock, people recognise it. I think instead of having the twin nuts in here, if you use a cam type lever, the same type as on a quick release Picatinny rail, a cam lever, it's on the side, flick the lever, push the stock in and out. It would make much more sense. And you've got all this dead space instead underneath for storage. You could just have a frame coming round, cut this bullshit away by here, this frame coming round, and you can put an MRE in there. You would still have you could have a buffer tube on top, so you could still have your buffer tube, but with this kind of skeletonized stock, instead of an AR style stock, you could actually make it into a very useful container for carrying. It could be used with a flip open top as a water bucket. You could put in your MRE, dried MRE. So there's a lot of other things which could be done with the Steamboat Survival Crossbow, or similar. So if you guys watching and developing see this and are paying attention, few little recommendations or ideas for you to come forward with. The sights on the new Survival are excellent. I love those. I got a set on the way. More use made of the grip material, the front or whatever. These could be used for stakes, the rods could be used for stakes for a cooking pot or something like that. to suspend your cooking pot over the fire. You can pass through the buffer tube, stick goes through, and you can suspend your buffer tube as a temporary boiling pot to boil water for tea, coffee, MRE, cleaning wounds, etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So I'll put the links below for the videos I done years ago for the long range bolts for your pistol crossbows. For those of you which aren't convinced that short magazines and short bolts are the way to go, I've got the alternatives here for you, and I've had it for the last 3 years. So I hope you enjoy this video. Crossbow manufacturers, Steambow, EK, I hope you're paying attention. If you're going to make a survival crossbow, it has to have more than one function. It needs to be multifunction. It could do with a compass, it could do with better storage, because you're going to put this on your back and carry it with you. If your bowstring breaks, you've got nothing, you just got a plastic stick. It needs to be more than one use. Thanks and bye bye.